So we're back with the ponderings. You've got to ask yourself, how serious is this planet about helping the less fortunate? Now, I bring this up with a heavy heart because it all started by watching the Olympics and how I was feeling fantastic, and, you know, I could feel the unitedness within the whole community. But then I started to have a look into it. So how much does it actually cost to have the Olympic Games? Now, one of the things that really struck my attention was that in Paris, they spent $2.6 billion to clean a river just so they could have an event in it. And I don't know about you, but surely that is a ridiculous amount of money to spend on a river that should never be clean. And I don't know if you've seen the memes where they've got like how Paris thought it would look, and it's all crystal clear and people all swimming in the water, to how it really was with shit floating down the river still. Now, that was the one that got my attention by how much these things cost. And I got to ask myself, who got that $2.6 billion? Now, did that go to a company? And does the government get their money back by the failure of all those poor bloody triathletes that have been getting sick by competing in the event in the Seine River? That is the number that struck my attention and going, we're not really serious about this after all. Now, I want to talk about the actual cost for the people in Paris. Now, we all know that you want to put on the Olympics so you can get people coming to your country to show your country off, and hopefully you get more money coming in the door than you've had to spend to get it. Now, 15 billion Australian dollars is what it's cost Paris to host the games. Lucky them. And hasn't the feedback of some of the accommodation been fantastic? Now, all the athletes seem like they're pretty cooped up. 15,000 people in this one little village. A lot of people complaining about the food, complaining about the sleeping conditions. They didn't like that the foam mattress wasn't actually foam. It was kind of cardboard. You turned it up. You could pick which one you wanted, if it was soft or hard. Footage of athletes sleeping outside because it's too noisy inside. It's more comfortable sleeping on the grass. I mean, okay, you can't win them all. Now, and I totally understand that. $15 billion to host an Olympic Games. Now, you got to look at what the pros and cons are. Now, is that a lot of money? Absolutely, that's a lot of money. Could that fix a lot of issues that we have within our own country here in Australia? Yes, it absolutely is. But if you want to talk about not Seine River, if you want to talk about obscene, just give the Olympics to Qatar. Give the Olympics to the Middle East. Like, make this job easier. Qatar in 2022 spent $330 billion for the World Cup. $330 billion. I mean, damn, they must have the best stadiums in the world. I'm sure they do. But $330 billion, and we're just worried about $15 billion for a whole world of sporting activities. Now, what are the pros and cons? And I don't want to flip between them because I am, but people are watching their athletes. I know I am. I'm watching Australian athletes. I'm watching water polo. I'm watching bloody skating. There's even bloody breakdancing these days. But I'm watching these events that I would never watch. Diving. Wow, look at that. Gymnastics. Geez, these guys are amazing. So there is an effect where you're feeling united and you are excited to see what's going on in your country. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't want that, because that is something I think people can always understand. When times are tough, people look to sport. They look for that inspiration. They look for their football team to get them through those hard times. They look for their athletes to get them through the hard times. And let's face it, it's not that easy being an athlete, especially, which I always thought the Olympic Games, you couldn't be a professional athlete. You had to be an amateur athlete, which meant you're not getting paid. But they must have changed that so they could have the dream team play basketball, because that is something that I'm sure people are watching. But how serious are we? How serious? So you go to Queensland, 2032 Brisbane. Now, we are going to spend an estimated $11.5 billion. That's an estimation, fixing up old stadiums and things like that, which is fantastic because they'll be out of future use. I think $7 billion of that is going up to upgrade stadiums, and we've even got the old great Raylene Boiling saying it's going to be the cheapskate games because we're doing up a 49-year-old stadium. I think that's fantastic. We are actually, using the facilities we have so they can future-proof them, and it's going to be a lot cheaper. So let's look at that. But I did happen to notice this study that came across my table because I'm now an Olympic professional. Now I'm watching all this Olympics. I know everything. And one of the things that came out is a study from Oxford. Oh, this must be very accurate. But this study from Oxford went back to 1960. And then all the budgets that were set for Olympics, they have then done a study that said every single country on average spends 2.5 times more than the average budget that they let everyone know at the time of building. And mate, you're building in Australia. Now, I know how hard it is now, and I know 2032, it's 8 years away, but we have a few things here that are a lot higher than any other country in the world. And one of those is trying to find someone to actually work. That's going to be your first problem. Second problem is your labour costs. Now, we pay so much higher. Well, we don't have to worry about the CFEMU at the moment, do we? But everyone else is still going to be a problem, and the labour costs are going to be extremely high. So this will more than likely be $25 billion. And if I go with my friends at Oxford, that I don't know anyone there, it'll be about $27 billion that we are going to spend to host the 2032 games. And will that be fantastic for this country? Absolutely it will. But at what cost? A little bit of Googling and some extensive surveying saying that we could fix homelessness in this country, in Australia alone. I'll specifically talk about Australia. In a 30-year period, spending $17 billion. Now, why 30 years, you ask? Well, that's because in this figure, they're accounting for building 25,000 houses a year, which can accommodate families and people in need. So I ask, are we serious at all about the people that are less fortunate? Or do we just go, well, you've had your chance, everyone move on, you know, everyone breathes the same air, everyone's given the same amount of 24 hours in a day, they should be able to make sure that they achieve more out of life? Or do we seriously look at the issues and actually do something about it? Because the one that really got my attention was the $2.6 billion to clean a river that wasn't clean. Now, that seems like an excessive spend of money. So could they have not held the triathlon event somewhere else where there was an ocean, where we haven't quite screwed the ocean up as much as we've screwed the Seine River? I mean, next you'll be telling me they're going to try and make the Brisbane River ready by 2032. Now, please, I don't know if you've seen that Brisbane River. Oh, well, while we're at it, why don't we try and make the Murray? Why don't we try and make the Murray clear as well? That would be great too. I mean, when I'm up there, I'd be able to see my feet for once. I don't think we're serious about homelessness at all. And I don't think we're serious about people less in need. And nothing screams more that we don't give a fuck than putting on an event worth billions of dollars. Now, and if you really want to get really into the rabbit hole, all we need to look at is what countries are spending what on their defense. I probably need a number here to back this statement up, but we are spending trillions of dollars on all worried about who's going to blow who up next. If we actually all went, you know what, guys, except for China, because they won't listen, and maybe North Korea, if we all just say, hey, we're not going to spend any money in this year, and then we don't, to fix all these problems, regenerative, farming, getting more better food out there, making more people into farming. No, I just realised that was a fucking fairy tale I was talking about there. So if we are serious about it, I don't think this is the way to do it. Private money, private people, they can spend whatever they want. I don't care. But when it's government money, taxpayers' money, this is the money of us being spent like this. Is it over the top? Tell me your thoughts.